2, go. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Mulroney.
And I'm Kelly Duckworth.
Welcome to this episode of Shirley Talk. And I'm showing this is our 23rd podcast, and we just started. That seems like a lot, doesn't it?
I know. We do a lot.
I guess we have a lot of things to talk about. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about how, the next part of our journey with Shirley's Way, I believe, is heading towards the political realm and see if we can't get some laws changed. Because in today's world, people shouldn't lose everything they have when they're sick.
Nope.
And being completely transparent, over the past few months, I've been having some chest pains, and it's been kind of scaring me. And went through some tests and things like that. I get my results tomorrow. But the reason I bring that up is because when I went into the doctor's office, there was no menu of what it's going to cost. I have no idea what. I lay there and they had this, it looked like a very expensive camera rolling around my chest 2 or 3 times. Then I did a stress test. Then I've done this. They went through, I was there half a day. And signing the paperwork, I'm just signing whatever they put in front of me. And you don't even read it anymore. They've got a display with a magic pen, and you sign this display. So you're not even signing pieces of paper anymore. I have no idea what I signed up for. I have no idea what it's going to cost. I have no idea what insurance is going to pay. I have no idea if it's an in-network or out-of-network location. My doctor just told me to go there. They're great, and they'll run some tests on you. So what do you think? So
you've been referred out?
Yeah.
Oh, it's even worse.
Yeah. So I was referred to this place. My doctor sent me there. And it makes me nervous as hell to think of what my bill might be. Because like I said, it looked like some pretty expensive equipment they were using to scan and do tests. So I bring that up because I don't fear going to the doctor. I'm not scared of needles anymore. When I was a kid, I used to be. That stuff doesn't bother me. My fear is not knowing what kind of bill I'm going to get in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
You remember those days with your mom?
Yeah.
It's god awful.
I know.
And just knowing that they can charge you whatever they want, and there's nothing you can do about it because you just sit there and sign. And if I was to say I want to read those documents, I probably wouldn't understand them anyway. And there's probably 20 or 30 pages of information that I would have to absorb before they would even do the treatments on me. And then what repercussions do you have? Am I going to call my attorney and say, hey, I don't agree with what I'm getting ready to sign, but the doctor says I need these tests or I'm going to drop dead? What do you do?
I know. So if you walked in there that day and they said, okay, it's going to be $10,000 for this today, would you do it?
No, I wouldn't. I would get online and research on some things that I could do for chest pain and see if I could come up before I would pay $10,000. And I think that's a problem in this world because people are scared of what the doctor's going to cost them. So there's no telling what's wrong with I know we got some mental illness in this world, so I don't know how you fix that. But I mean, there's people walking around with aches and pains and things that could probably be pretty fixed pretty easily, but they don't have the money for it, or they're scared of what it might cost them afterwards, because after the work is done, you're kind of screwed. You kind of have to pay for that service.
Yeah, and you're not one to leave a bill, so
no, I can't stand bills. I can't stand debt. I hate credit cards, and so to not pay that, it would drive me absolutely insane. But I'm just baffled at how our system is. To me, I think, and within reason, but if there's standard procedures, standard scans, standard things that they do, there should be a menu that you see that says insurance covered your portion, and it should be that black and white. Because we've seen bills when Alan was in here and we opened a ton of his bills. The billing is so confusing that I have no idea what he owed and what the insurance was covering.
Well, it was on like the 4th page.
Yeah, from what we could tell. And then to have to make a phone call to an 800 number and talk to somebody about your case, and they know nothing about you, to try and get them to figure out exactly what you owe and beg for mercy. Just a quick research online the other day, we found out that 2 people who are diagnosed with cancer, so cancer patients are 2.5 times more likely to file bankruptcy after they're diagnosed. That was just a 2019 report from CNBC. We want to quote our sources. So that's a CNBC report in 2019. 2.5 times more likely to file bankruptcy. So you're sick. You're going through treatments. The meter is running. You're ringing up one heck of a bill, and you have no choice but to keep ringing up that bill, or you die,
Mm-hmm.
or financially ruined, which is unbelievable to me. So, a 2021 report from spendmenot.com, I've never heard of that website, but spendmenot.com, 530,000 families file bankruptcy per year because of medical debt. So we just did a podcast recently, and Kelly, how many people did you say died from cancer in 2020? 600,000?
Over 600,000.
So 600,000 people die from cancer, and 530,000 families file bankruptcy per year because of medical debt. So think about that. Are those people that are filing bankruptcy dying from the stress of the medical bills, or is the cancer getting them?
Probably the stress.
Yeah, I don't know. It just baffles me that this continues and continues. And we just found a quick story from 2013 from NPR, and it talks about a lady that she would go through treatments and she would be so sick and have to spend the rest of her time while she's sick battling debt collectors, people threatening to take her car and her home and to have everything she owns confiscated if she doesn't pay her bills. And I've always paid my bills, so I don't think I've ever had a debt collector call me. It scares me. I don't like that kind of thing. But to be sick on top of that and have people calling you and telling you you're worthless because you can't pay your bills, that's absolutely horrible.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who could do that job.
I don't know. There's some pretty ruthless people in this world. Because I've heard some of the phone calls and they're absolutely hard.
So this is confusing to me. So unpaid medical bills are often sold to collection agencies who will call you.
Yeah.
So they sell them?
Yeah. So you're so young, you don't get this. So what happens is say you owe $20,000 in medical debt. The hospital they don't have the people to keep calling and harassing you to pay the bill. So there's debt collectors. So they'll sell a $20,000 medical bill to a debt collector, and the debt collector might buy that bill for $2,000. So now they own the bill. So the hospital gets $2,000 out of the $20,000. They write it off as a loss and they go on about their business. So the debt collector has got a bill that you owe for $20,000. So they paid $2,000 for it. So they can make $18,000 if they harass you enough to cause you so much mental stress to collect $18,000. So yeah, they buy it for $2,000. It's worth 20, and they will call and harass that person until they get paid. And that's what debt collections do. And usually that's in cases of cars. If you got a $10,000 car and you owe $2,000, you can't pay it. The auto lot or the bank sells that debt to a debt collector, and they'll keep harassing you till they get the car or they get you to pay the $10,000.
I mean, that's kind of like
it's a huge business.
Tank your credit, right?
Oh yeah,
like you're screwed at that point.
At that point, your credit drops, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I'm sure there's some really good debt collectors out there that are honest, but most of them, I think, are probably a problem to society. And I get if you owe a bill, you should pay it. But we're talking about medical debt, things that save people's lives. Or funeral debt. You talked about that one time about how the cemetery
car salesman.
Yeah, the car salesman of death, I think you called it. But to really take advantage of people who are sick because they can and charge you whatever they want is wrong. We got to fix this problem in society. And like President Trump or not, before he lost the election, his next step was to have hospitals and doctors' offices list procedures and what they cost. So when you walk in to get the procedure, you know what it is you're going to have to pay. And I don't know where we're at with that politically since he lost the election, if that's even something that this new administration is going to take on.
I would think a lot of people would not get procedures.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of that as I said it. If you see how much it's going to cost, would you do it?
I know. Because you just said you wouldn't.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't. It just depends on if I thought it was going to kill me or not.
Yeah.
But
I have to tell my dad all the time, non-cancer related, but I mean, he's 78 and he has Medicare and then he has a supplement. So everything is free. Literally, he can have whatever wrong with him and, it's going to be free because he pays for it. And he still won't use it. And I'm like, dude, I'm sitting here telling you.
Oh, if I had it for free and knew it wouldn't cost, that's the problem.
You're not, like it is not going to cost you 1 penny to go to the doctor, and he still just won't do it.
Yeah, well, he's from that tough generation.
I know.
But yeah, if I see something's going to cost me 10 grand and I don't think it's going to cause me long-term illness or kill me, I'm probably just going to suffer with it. And I think a lot of people probably would, but you're right. It might be sticker shock. If you walk in and see an appendectomy or whatever it's called when you take your appendix out.
I've had that.
Which could kill you. Yeah. You had yours taken out?
I almost died.
Really?
When I was 10.
Well,
yeah.
I think I still got mine.
I was surprised you knew. I don't know why it's there. It's pointless.
I don't have my wisdom teeth, but I got my appendix still. Yeah, I know I had them taken out, but yeah, your appendix can kill you. What did it rupture?
Almost, yeah. It was inflamed.
Was you just really sick?
Yeah, literally. So I'm not a morning person, you know this.
Yeah.
And I was 10. I was still
Don't call Kelly before 11.
I guess I was in 5th grade, maybe. And
Except on Tuesdays when you go to girl meetings.
Yeah, I know. Oh, those are rough. No, but I woke up at like 7 a.m. puking my guts up. And I was like, well, this is weird because one, I never get up without
You wasn't hungover? Oh, you was 10.
I was 10.
Yeah, you wasn't hungover.
No, I was not hungover. But yeah, long story short, I was just really sick. And my parents took me to the doctor. My dad kept saying, she just needs a nap. That was it. The whole time. And
That's the tough guy's response.
Oh my God.
Get up, you're fine.
I'm literally laying in the back seat dying, what I feel like. And my pediatrician, I remember she was like, I think she has appendicitis. Y'all need to take her to Cosair. And my dad was like, I'm taking her home. She just needs a nap. And my mom said, if her pediatrician says she needs to go to the doctor, she's going. And I had surgery that night.
Your
it almost ruptured?
Yeah, I'm not that hardcore. I am one of those is get up, you'll be fine.
Well, my brother... he didn't get his first Band-Aid till he was 8. So, I mean, my mom was like, yeah, with him. So, I mean, anytime we were really sick, my mom would take me. But my dad, oh my God, if you weren't bleeding or he couldn't see something was, wrong with you, you were fine.
Yeah, I'm not that extreme, but I'm kind of like that. My kids, they'll play sports and they'll lay there and like, get up. You're fine.
No.
Walk it off. Rub some mud on
I had busted mouth and stuff from where I'd play Fear Factor. I was rough as a kid, bleeding everywhere. And he'd be like, you're fine. It's all right.
Yeah, that's why you're tougher than nails now.
I'm kidding.
Little Kelly badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think, just think about all those things you just listed. So to me, and there's always exceptions, but taking your appendix out, I would say that's a pretty standard procedure. We could start small and take procedures like that and put a price, and list it as all things. I don't know how you would create the menu, but it needs to be a menu that you open and know that my insurance is going to cover this and this is how much I'm going to pay. Because it's not that black and white. You can look at all these medical bills and still have no clue as to what you're supposed to pay or when, or you'll get a bill 9 months later. I think I told you before I had a colonoscopy because I'm at that age. I'm an old guy. And yeah, the first one I had, yeah, I know. The first one I had, I've been traveling a lot. I was out of the country a lot, and they thought I had I don't know, what is that disease? Colon disease. Anyway, they thought I had that. So they did the colonoscopy and it was fine. My insurance covered everything. And then a few years later, I was still having some problems. So they did it again. And because they did it out of an out-of-network hospital, same doctor, I don't know why it mattered. I got a bill for $900 6 months later. And there's nothing I can do about it. So the first one was free, covered by insurance. And the next one, because it was an out-of-network hospital, and nobody knows what an out-of-network hospital is.
Why would they send you there if it was out-of-network?
I have no idea. I guess because the doctor had his schedule full and they wanted to get this done. So they sent me someplace. And I think the doctors sometimes don't know. He probably didn't know. He just know he does surgeries at this other hospital and he doesn't know that it's not in network.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the doctors are oblivious or just aren't aware of how things work in the insurance world and what's covered and what's not covered when they do things.
Oh, yeah. I'm guaranteed they have no idea.
But your appendix, that's got to be a pretty standard procedure. They ought to list it appendix, $2,000 pending no other issues. Broken toe, $500, no pending issues.
If you go to the doctor over broken toe, there's nothing they can do for you.
Well, that's why it should be only $500 just to tell you, hey, dummy, tape it to the other and you're going to be fine.
Here, I'm charging you $500 for coming in for a broken toe.
But they would.
I know.
I may or may not have been drinking when this happened, but we were at the lake one time and we had a nice fire and I grabbed a log and I was shoving it in. Well, one almost fell in the fire. And 2, I ran a piece of wood through my hand that I couldn't get out.
Ugh.
I tried for weeks to get it out, and it just kept hurting. So anyway, I went to the hand doctor, and they did a great job, but I got a bill for $2,400 for a piece of wood that
Just the biggest splinter.
It was huge. I couldn't get it out.
Oh,
And it hurt so
God.
bad I couldn't touch it. I almost cut my own self, and my wife was like, "You can't do that. You'll get a staph infection." I was like, "But back in the Western days, they would hold it over fire and kill all germs." I guess that didn't work anymore.
My dad hooked his leg one time and took his pocket knife out and cut his leg and got the hook out.
Yeah. I grew up in that tough guy world. Actually, I had my wisdom teeth cut out once when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was 18, 19. And they left a piece of bone chip in there, and it kept sticking me, and I grabbed it with some needle nose pliers and pulled that out.
See, I don't think I could do that.
I sure did.
Teeth gross me out.
Yeah. I grabbed it with needle nose and pulled it out. Ooh. It hurt like hell, but I was glad to get it out of there. But the point is that they should be able to at least start with standard procedures and go from there. This procedure is going to cost this, if you're a network, if you got insurance, this is what you call. And there's only a few insurance providers out there, so it's got to be possible to be able to do this.
Well, I mean, so think your $10,000 chest x-rays or whatever you had done, let's just say.
I'm scared to death to see. It's going to cause me a heart attack just to see the bill.
Well, let's just say if you walked in and they said this is how much it's going to be and you're not going to pay for it. You choose not. But if your kid has appendicitis and you walk in and they say it's going to be $30,000 for her to have the surgery, you're going to do it.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. So
I just don't. I think as a dad or even a mom, I think Jenny's probably the same way. That we would do anything for them, but for us, we're like, whatever, we'll be fine.
I think that's most parents.
Yeah, quite a few of them, not all of them. You see some of these deadbeats in the world these days. That's a whole different topic for another. Well, that'll be podcast number 24.
Oh God,
deadbeat parents. So, but yeah, people shouldn't lose it. So here's a suggestion I've got. So 1, create a menu of options. And, there's, I don't know how many body parts, but you could probably list just about every surgery and for the most part, be pretty close to accurate of what it's going to cost. But we did that one podcast. You remember the one that the guy that was in here from some other country and was having problems, and the procedure was originally quoted $150,000. And then he went to his country and they are called his country's hospital and they quoted him a price of $25,000. Then the hospital here went from 150 to 50. How is your medical procedures and how is your life up for auction at that point is basically what it sounded like.
I don't know. So just take note. Anytime you go to the doctor and they say, hey, it's going to cost this much, start negotiating.
Hey, I called Paris, France, and they said this is what it's going to cost. Or if I fly to Mexico, I might have to start doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for him.
Well, luckily, I don't have to go to the doctor much. It's been knock on wood, as most people say. I don't know if knocking on wood does any good, but it seems to help sometimes. But we got to start with a menu of options and cost of what it's going to cost people. And 2, people who are sick with cancer. We can redo mortgages and things like that on a whim. It's just a matter of wanting to. So why not take, if you've got a mortgage?
This is the best idea I've ever heard you say. Still
really?
To this day.
Still?
Yeah. No, because I've never thought of it until you said it, and I think it's a great idea.
Well,
I don't know why it's not possible.
I don't think I've ever heard you say I got a great idea.
No, yeah, it is great. You've said it a lot.
So take 6 months. If your cancer says that you're going to be in treatments for 6 months or 9 months, take your mortgage payments. By law, that mortgage broker or bank should have to take the time you're in treatment, kill those payments for the next 9 months, and tack them on at the end of the mortgage. So what? It's going to cost you some more interest, but you have that mortgage payment, and it's taken care of. Or rent. Say somebody's fighting cancer and they've got to pay 6 months of rent. The government should step in. They step in on a bunch of other dumb things. Have the government step in and pay rent for 6 months for somebody, and then they have to pay the government back over 2 years or something. So it's something that they can absorb.
What was our?
I'm gonna write that one down.
What was our financials the other day on how much we've given away over $1 million, but how much of it went to rent and mortgage? It was like way over half.
Yeah,
has went to. I mean, think about how many people would have lost their home. It was
like $350,000 we paid in rent and mortgage bills.
Yeah, so think about all those payments that people couldn't have made. I mean, that would have lost their house.
Yeah, or utility bills. Think of that one. Why can't utility companies, they have a winter help bill. If you ever pay your bill, I used to get the paper statements. I don't
Yeah.
anymore, but there used to be a box that says, do you want to donate $1 to winter help? That's
Mhm.
fabulous. Why
Well,
not create a box for people who are sick that can't pay their bills while they're in treatments?
don't even think about winter. Think about the whole past year we just had.
Yeah.
They weren't turning electric off. They weren't turning utilities off.
And they
if
can
you
do
couldn't.
that.
I know. So why not say, oh, hey, you're check this box if you're under, have a doctor sign off or whatever legal things you need to have done.
Yeah.
And then tack it on to the end. They're
Yeah.
still going to get their money one way or the other.
Yeah. And extend it, and I'm not saying don't pay your bills.
Mhm.
I'm a firm believer, pay what you owe. It's insanity to expect somebody that can't work to still pay their bills.
Yeah.
And when they're really, really sick, the stress of paying bills, because they may not know that, but the way we handle things is when we pay somebody's bill, we pay it directly to the debtor. We don't hand it to the person to make sure that the bill is paid, because some people would take the money, they get sidetracked, and they wouldn't pay their mortgage with it. So, but that's what we do with the money. But there's got to be another way. And there's all kinds of options, but I think the next step that we're going to take, and I've talked to a couple of local politicians, and I need to reel them back in and say, hey, why can't we do this as a society? Let Kentucky lead the way and start something like in something. Yeah.
We're so far behind in everything else.
Yeah. We're leading the way in horse racing.
Yeah.
We're leading the way in bourbon. We're leading the way in top smoking, tobacco. And actually, Kentucky is the leader in the most cancer-related illnesses, which we found out not too long ago. So let's lead it in something positive. And start doing something for people who are sick that can't work. You should not, and I say this all the time, you should not lose everything you have because you're sick.
Yep.
And we do it every day. And it's proof right there. 530,000 people, families, will file bankruptcy because of medical debt. That's inhumane. And there's a whole nother discussion about, I was reading up on it, but I couldn't find enough information to prove if it was true. But at one time, the medical industry was not for profit. It was illegal to make money off medical related instances, bills, I guess, medicine. And I didn't really have a chance to look into it much. But yeah, one time, until somebody decided that, hey, we can make a lot of money off of this, let's get the politicians to sign a new law. And from what I read, it was back in the 70s is when this happened. But it's just heart-wrenching. And I know these doctors and all these people are well educated and they've got to make some good money. But at what point is enough when you're throwing everybody into bankruptcy? I talked to the doctor we did an interview on. I don't know if you caught this, but I asked him, do you think there'll ever be a cure for cancer? And he said, probably not in our lifetime. I think that's what he said. I have to go back and watch it. But the point is, he said, if it is, would it be cost prohibitive? And he actually said, if there was a cure for cancer, it would probably cost $1 million. You'd have to hit the lottery to survive. And to me, that's inhumane. Just because you don't have the ability to pay, that means that you lose your life.
I don't understand any of that. I mean, like non-cancer related, but like an EpiPen.
Yeah.
$300 or $400.
You see that little jackass, and sorry for my wording, but the dude that bought that technology, he raised the price on it several years ago. He got really drugged through the mud. And how can you do that and sleep at night?
I mean, that's something that would save someone's life.
Yeah.
And you're going to and insulin, that's a whole nother story. I mean, things that literally save people's lives, and you're so greedy. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't either. And we'll have to look the story up, but he bought the rights to it, I don't know how he did it, but he raised the price of those items for people and made it so out of reach that people could die because they can't afford it. I think those EpiPens, or one of them, last like 6 months. And at one time they were like $700. Most people don't have that kind of money to buy an EpiPen that could save their life every 6 months for $700.
I know.
And yeah, I'm livid about this whole thing. When my mom died and I started hearing these stories of people who were sick, I had no idea that this was a problem in this world. That if you don't have the money, you don't survive. And it's just heart-wrenching to hear that that's even an issue in today's world.
I don't know, like, if this is true or not. This is just me thinking, but you have to think of preventative medicine too. So all these vaccines that people just got, flu vaccines, all these things, I don't think the cost on that's very high at all. I mean, I know COVID vaccines were free. So you have all this preventative stuff, but then if someone gets sick, then all of a sudden it's going to cost you thousands.
There's a dollar amount assigned to everybody. Okay. So, and I believe I was told, and I'd love to talk to somebody about this. I was told that the government is paying these. So think about all the people are giving shots. Do you think they're doing that for free? All these hospitals, CVS, all these places? No, they're not. Somebody is paying them for every shot they give.
Mhm.
I mean, the medicine was created. I'm sure the pharmaceuticals aren't going to eat the cost of this just because they're good community stewards.
Mhm.
Somebody's paying the cost for this. So our taxes go up because the U.S. government is paying the pharmaceutical companies for all these shots. I was told and again, I don't know if this is true. I was told every COVID shot, the people giving the shot, the company that's giving the shot is getting $200 to $400 per shot.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's why they're all lining up across the world to do these
No
things.
kidding. I remember when my dad got his shot and they said, we need your license and your Medicare card. And he was like, why? I thought it was free. And I was like, Dad, you're going to pay for it eventually.
Yeah, nothing's free.
No, you pay.
We got to get that message out there. Everybody thinks things free and it's not.
Yeah.
Somebody's paying for it somewhere.
That's what he said. He's like, I'm not giving him my card. I was like, well, you have to.
Yeah. Are you going to get your shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But that's how it works. And somebody's paying for it and the pharmaceutical companies are making the money. And, they got a lot of money invested in, I'm sure, creating the vaccines and the cures and stuff like that. But how much of it is profit? I'd love to know the profit. And we could look that up easily and see how much money some of these pharmaceutical companies make over the years. It's billions, I'm sure. And all because of sick people.
And I'm tired of talking about COVID just as much as you are. But didn't we have this discussion where we said, why are they trying to have a vaccine for COVID so quick? And it's because people are dying so fast. It's not like cancer. You can't keep getting treatment for years and racking up your debt.
Yeah.
Because people are dying. There's no money in COVID.
Yeah, there's not. So. I mean, but well, we'll see, because the COVID shots that people are getting, I've heard there's going to be a booster, because just because you were vaccinated doesn't mean that means you're vaccinated for life.
Yeah.
So probably what they're going to do is reel us all in once everybody gets their COVID shots. And oh, by the way, the booster is going to cost you $1,000 every 6 months. There's going to be a dollar amount tied to it. I guarantee you it. It's people do not do things for free, especially corporations. If it affects their bottom line, they're not going to do it. Because most aren't going to do what's right for society because they can make so much money doing other things.
Yeah.
But I'll be interested to see over the long term how much. I'd love to see these companies, Pfizer and all these, and see what their revenues go up in for 2021.
Is that their ROI?
Yeah.
Learned that the other day.
Yeah.
Can we open up Shirley's Way Pharmaceuticals?
Yeah, we probably could. We could create a nonprofit and do it. Do an express script type deal, prescription drugs, and create our own nonprofit pharmacy.
Yeah.
And do the Walmart of things. Make 50 cents per prescription and mark them all down. And people, hey, write that down. We need to figure that out. We may have just come up with a new business model.
Come and play bingo. Get your cheap pharmacy prescription.
Yeah, that's right. Free $5 play code on our machines if you get your flu
gosh.
shot here, because the government's going to pay us $1,000 for it.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, that's why they give free flu shots, is because somebody's getting paid behind the scenes by some companies, because they know if that's preventative, and it's worth their while to pay the preventative, because the preventative is cheaper than the cure. And the insurance companies know that. They've got a dollar amount signed to everybody, and that's how they make their decisions. So
it's ridiculous.
But yeah, there's all kinds of ways, back to helping people who are sick with finances. And there's got to be ways, create a menu of options at each doctor's office and each hospital. It should show you your out of pocket minus your insurance, and what the actual procedure cost if you pay cash. And then mortgages, utility bills, anything else, food. If somebody's sick, the government gives away so much money all the time anyway. The government should give you free food while you're battling cancer, and then you can go back and pay them back later. I don't care. But there's got to be a way to remove the stress of people who are sick that can't pay their bills because they're going through cancer treatments.
I agree.
So
I would sign that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, next episode, we're going to talk about opening our own pharmaceutical company as a nonprofit under Shirley's Way. And Kelly, how can people help Shirley's Way?
We have all of our raffles Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. You can go to shirleysway.org, click on our gaming there, and learn all about that. And then 2021, we are pushing for 1,000 $10 monthly donors. $10,000 a month. That's $120,000 a year. That could help out a lot of people in our community.
Yeah, $10 a month. That's it. And some people are showing off. They're giving away $50 and $100 a month, which is pretty cool.
Like
we got a few of those. So yeah, if $10 is a minimum. So get out there, get signed up for $10 a month. Help Shirley's Way and help us continue our mission in our community.
Thanks for listening.